Welcome to the site of the old Eagle Farm Airport. Just after midnight on Monday the 29th of June 1964, the Beatles arrived here for their only visit to Brisbane.
And here they are, John, Paul, George and Ringo. A truck is provided for two reasons. The Beatles are protected up there and the crowds can see them better. Just as well they are on a truck too. There are 10,000 people here and some are throwing eggs.
But unfortunately there was a small group of malcontents who decided to throw eggs and tomatoes at the Beatles, one of whom apparently was future politician Bob Catter. Well, he's the biggest cootie I ever saw. And I believe that John Lennon was really quite annoyed about it, and he said that there will be no further appearances by the Beatles in Brisbane apart from the shows they were going to do at Festival Hall. And just as a little bit of trivia, the first person off the plane here at Eagle Farm Airport was Paul, then John, then Ringo, and then George. So once the Beatles got off the plane and all their baggage was collected, they were driven up into the city and were deposited at Lennon's Hotel on George Street, corner of Ann Street. And that's where I'm off to next. Well, here I am on George Street in the city. Ann Street is just over that way, and behind me is where Lennon's Hotel used to be. The original hotel kind of took up the middle area of the block there. It was built in 1884, and it was built by hotelier John Lennon. I don't know if it's any relation. And I believe also Douglas MacArthur used Lennon's Hotel for accommodation for some of his staff as well. So the more modern extension was built in 1957, the one over that side there. And then the whole lot was destroyed in 1972. It was pulled down and Lennon's Hotel moved to the Queen Street Mall, and they were there for many, many years. Architecturally, the area is very different from what it used to be back in '64. Moving a little bit further into the city, just across the road there is where Festival Hall used to stand. It was originally Brisbane Stadium, built in 1910. It hosted a lot of boxing matches. And then in 1959, Festival Hall, known and loved by generations of people in Brisbane, was built. And that's where the Beatles played. Now, the Beatles only played 4 concerts here at Festival Hall, 2 on the 29th of June 1964 and another 2 shows on the 30th of June 1964, and that was it. And the concerts were not long, about 30 minutes each. They did have support acts before they went on. Of course, the Beatles were the main attraction, so they had local bands going on. Festival Hall was in existence from 1959 until it was demolished in 2003. It really was the loss of a rather remarkable and well-loved Brisbane landmark. So on Tuesday, the 30th of June 1964, the Beatles had a free day, and Paul and George wanted to get out. They wanted to see some of the local sites. So they managed to get a couple of MGs and some security guards, and they drove themselves up to Mount Tamborine. I did read somewhere that Paul and George did visit Curtis Falls on their trip to Tamborine, so I thought I'd go down the track and just have a look. Now, when Paul and George visited Mount Tamborine, it was in winter. It was the end of June, and apparently the weather was beautiful while they were up here. It was bright and sunny and breezy and cold, and would have been a wonderful experience for them to experience Mount Tamborine in the winter. I'm here in the summer. I've arrived at Eagle Heights up here on Mount Tamborine, and they came and had lunch up here at the old hotel. This might be the local historian with information on where the hotel actually was. Hang on. Okay, hi. Okay, right. I see, it's like a wooden one with big glass door, window sort of things, yeah? And the other building on the corner was the servants' quarters. Absolutely. Bye-bye. Okay, just got off the phone from Robert at the Mount Tamborine Historical Village. Right here is where the old Eagle Heights Hotel once stood. The sign, which is here, which says Eagle's Nest, this is original. The gateway thing going over the top there. Now, the sign originally read Eagle Heights Hotel, and this was the entrance to the hotel itself. So Paul and George would have come through here under this sign and into the hotel, which is just over there. There's a private house there now. I won't go there. And then, strangely, about 3 months later, the hotel burnt down. Looks like arts and crafts sort of thing now. This was the servants' quarters, the staff quarters, accommodation for the Eagle Heights Hotel. This survived, obviously, the fire. Yeah, so there we go. The hotel would have been right there. Now, while Paul and George were having a nice lunch up here at Tamborine, John and Ringo stayed back at the hotel, at Lennon's hotel. After the egg throwing and tomato incident at the airport, John was adamant that he didn't want to go out again. They were at the end of the tour anyway. Brisbane was the last stop on their 1964 World Tour, so I guess they were all pretty exhausted. But yeah, thanks to Bob Catter and the malcontents who were throwing eggs and tomatoes at them, John didn't come up here for lunch, and I think Ringo was happy just to kick about at the hotel as well, so they missed out on this beautiful place. So after visiting Tamborine and having lunch up here and visiting Curtis Falls, Paul and George's next destination was right out there, the Gold Coast. After their visit to Mount Tamborine, Paul and George decided to come on down here to Broadbeach. Don't know the exact place where they were on Broadbeach, where they came to get their feet wet, but it was somewhere between here and the southern end of Surfers Paradise. I know that George in particular was very taken with the beach here on the Gold Coast. He thought it was incredible just how vast the beach was, that it goes all the way from down there. You can hardly see one end of it all the way up to the other. He thought it was absolutely wonderful. They didn't spend too long down at the beach, mainly because they had to get themselves back to Brisbane and get ready not only for the final Brisbane shows, but also for the final 2 shows of their 1964 World Tour. They certainly couldn't be late for that, so they headed back to Brisbane. Beatles in Brisbane, thank you very much for watching. I hope you liked the video. If you did, please like and subscribe. I'll see you again on the next adventure.